$3,000 for a luxury hotel stay. $1,000 for meals at fancy restaurants. $500 at a famous spa. What is all this? I glanced at the credit card statement, something I usually leave for my husband to handle. The list of expenses was shocking, huge amounts for reservations during the same time period. These weren't ordinary expenses, they were dates. My husband, who's on the PTA board at our daughter's middle school, had told me he was going on a retreat. Even though I'm not involved with the PTA, I could easily figure out what this really meant. Glenn became a stay-at-home dad so I could focus on my demanding job as a nurse. Thanks to him, I've been able to work long hours at the university hospital without worrying about the house or our daughter. I thought he was the perfect husband, selfless, devoted, but now, I realize his intentions might not have been so noble. Quietly, I took something and slipped it into his wallet. Then, I made a phone call. He'll be leaving in a week, likely full of excitement. I hope this trip will be unforgettable for him. My name is Maggie. I work as a nurse at a university hospital, where my schedule is so packed that days and nights blur together. The only reason I can keep going is because of Glenn, my husband. He always supported my career, even when I struggled to balance work and marriage. He decided to stay home and take care of everything so I could pursue my dream job. Glenn even joined the PTA at our daughter Sasha's school. Ignoring any judgment from others about being a stay-at-home dad, Sasha was proud of him, and so was I. As the breadwinner, I worked hard to support my family. But one day, I got a call from the credit card company. I had recently changed the debit account, and the payment hadn't gone through, causing an overdraft. Ugh, how did I forget this? I quickly opened my credit card statement to fix it. Normally, I leave all the finances to Glenn, so I hadn't looked at the statement in years. What I saw nearly made my heart stop. The total amount on the statement was shocking. I panicked, trying to figure out what I could have spent so much on. But no matter how hard I thought, I couldn't recall buying anything extravagant. I decided to dig deeper into the details. That's when I noticed a long list of purchases I didn't remember making: designer clothes, famous perfumes, a luxury watch brand. I liked those brands, but I hadn't bought anything from them. For a moment, I wondered if Glenn, who also had access to the credit card, might be planning a surprise, but I hadn't received anything from him. What stood out the most was the timing. All the purchases were made on Wednesdays. Wednesdays were the nights I worked late shifts, and it also happened to be the day Glenn attended PTA board meetings. What was going on? I decided to confront him as soon as I got home. Feeling anxious, I rushed back, but just before I reached the house, I heard someone call out. "Hi, Maggie, long time no see, coming back from work?" It was Tara, a fellow PTA member and one of the few moms I knew from school. "Oh, hi, long time," I replied awkwardly. "Thanks for always helping Glenn. I hope he's not too much trouble." I didn't know what else to say, so I just went with something neutral. She laughed and lightly patted my shoulder, teasing me about being distant. But as she moved closer, I caught a whiff of her perfume. It was a familiar scent, the exact one from the brand I'd noticed on the credit card statement. I'd wanted to buy that perfume for myself, but never did. I remembered the scent clearly. "Smells nice. Is that the one I wanted? Did you get it?" I asked, not even sure why I said it. Was it jealousy? Curiosity? I felt foolish for even bringing it up. Still, the timing nagged at me. The purchases were all made on Wednesdays, and now here was a PTA mom wearing that same perfume. My mind started spinning with uneasy thoughts. Tara didn't notice my suspicion. She just smiled and said cheerfully, "Oh, this? It was a gift. It was our anniversary recently." She laughed, looking genuinely happy. "That's so sweet. You two must be really in love," I replied, trying to sound casual. We chatted a bit more, then said goodbye. I felt relieved. It made sense. She got the perfume as a gift for her anniversary. Tara was always so bubbly and cheerful. Even after becoming a mom, she talked about her anniversaries with such warmth. But then, something clicked. She didn't say husband. I froze in my tracks, replaying the conversation in my mind. Then, without thinking, I turned back to where I'd left her. But she was gone. The thought of following her was overwhelming. Could it be? Was there something going on between her and Glenn? That small seed of doubt grew into something I couldn't ignore. The following Wednesday, my family sent me off to work as usual. But I had other plans. I asked my colleagues to let me leave early without telling Glenn. If he knew, it would ruin everything. I waited near our home, watching from a distance. Not long after, my mother-in-law arrived to watch Sasha, and Glenn left for his PTA meeting. Everything seemed normal. I followed him to the school, where the board meeting took place. It lasted about half an hour, and then most members left quickly, but Glenn was the last to leave, walking arm in arm with Sarah. They were holding hands, their fingers intertwined, and gazing into each other's eyes. They headed straight for a hotel. I followed just a few steps behind, unnoticed. Tears streamed down my face as I watched. I had trusted him, I had loved him. Was my hard work just a convenience for him to do this? Standing there, crushed by betrayal, I checked my phone. The latest credit card charge confirmed the hotel bill he had just paid. Hours later, they came out of the hotel, smiling and happy. I didn't cry anymore. Instead, I calmly took pictures of them together. My heart had already turned cold. After that day, I avoided Glenn as much as I could, using work as an excuse. I didn't want to face him. Deep down, I was ready to divorce him, but I worried about Sasha, taking her away from her father, moving, changing schools. Those thoughts weighed heavily on me. Late one night, as I sat crying in the living room, Sasha's voice startled me. "Mom?" She had woken up and seen me crying. Quietly, she came over and hugged me. "I don't want you to be sad, Mom. Your enemies are my enemies. I won't forgive anyone who hurts you, not even Dad." Her words broke me. I sobbed uncontrollably, letting out all the emotions I had bottled up. Gratitude, sorrow, and everything else came pouring out. "If I divorce your dad, things will change," I told her. "We might have to move, and you won't see him every day. You might even have to change schools and leave your friends." But she just held my hands tightly and said, "I still want to be with you, Mom. I'll be fine. Please do what makes you happy." Her support gave me the courage to move forward with my plan. By then, I had started checking my credit card statements regularly. I discovered Glenn had planned a week-long trip and called it a PTA retreat. It didn't add up. What kind of parents both leave their child at home for an entire week? The charges on the card confirmed my suspicions: luxury hotels, fine dining, a surprise cake. He clearly thought I wouldn't notice, but now, I had all the evidence: the transaction records, the hotel booking, and even the restaurant details. I had once been grateful to Glenn for quitting his job to be a stay-at-home dad so I could focus on work. I worked hard to provide for our family because I trusted him, but he had used my trust to betray me and play around. Don't mess with me. On my next day off, I began my revenge. First, I called the hotel and restaurants he had booked, pretending to be his wife, which I was. I canceled all the reservations. The staff didn't suspect a thing. Later that night, I took his wallet from the living room. Inside was his only credit card, the one linked to our family account. I swapped it with an expired card and put the wallet back where I found it. He rarely used his card, so he wouldn't notice right away. Now, the wheels were in motion. Glenn's credit card had been renewed 6 months ago, but I had never thrown out the old one. My laziness paid off. I was amazed at myself for still having it. The expired card looked identical to the new one, but it wouldn't work if used. It only needed to fool him until he was far from home. "I'm leaving now," Glenn said with a big smile. "We're going to have lots of discussions to make the school better. Sasha, take good care of your mom, okay?" Sasha and I smiled back, waving him off. I could have slapped him, but instead, I felt oddly calm. This was the last time I would ever see him. "Let's get started," I said. "Yes," Sasha replied with determination. The moment he was out of sight, our smiles disappeared. We sprang into action, packing our belongings as quickly as possible. The movers arrived shortly after, and thanks to their efficiency, we were moved into our new home in no time. "Excuse me, where should these boxes go?" one of the movers asked. "Oh, don't worry about them, just leave them there," I replied. The boxes were all Glenn's belongings. Another moving company arrived to pick them up and deliver them elsewhere. By the time we were done, the house was completely empty. In the living room, where we had shared so many memories, I left a stack of credit card statements and the photos I had taken of him and Sarah. Next to them were my wedding ring, now meaningless, and the signed divorce papers. As I finished up, I noticed a flood of missed calls on my phone, all from Glenn. He must have realized something was wrong during his trip. Too bad for him. to avoid his interference. I claimed to be busy with emergency surgeries at the hospital. I let my phone vibrate endlessly in a drawer until the call stopped. By the time I checked again, my call history was cleared. Sasha and I couldn't help but laugh at how smoothly it was going. "Oh, right, I should make one last call," I said. "Yeah, that's a good idea," Sasha replied with a grin. Together, we made the call. Later that week. "What's going on here, Maggie, Sasha, anybody home?" Glenn came back from his week-long affair, still in a cheerful mood, but his smile faded when he saw the empty house. He froze, staring at the divorce papers, the photos, and the credit card statements I had left behind. He tried calling me over and over, but, of course, I had blocked him. Then his phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. Hoping it was me, he eagerly answered. "Hello, Maggie, is that you? What the hell have you done? I was forced to pay for all the bookings I'd already prepaid online, and my credit card expired. Do you have any idea how humiliating this was? I had to borrow money from everyone. This is harassment. It's Tara's fault I'm in this mess. Now I have to figure out how to pay them all back." On the other end of the line was a calm, commanding voice. "Oh, did you borrow $5,000 from each of them? That's quite a lot of money. You must have had an extravagant trip. I hope Tara didn't cause you too much trouble." Glenn turned pale. The voice wasn't mine, it belonged to Tara's husband. He stammered but couldn't find any words to defend himself. Who is this?" Glenn managed to ask. "I'm so glad you remember me," the man replied. "Yes, this is Tara's husband. I know all about you and her. I'll be demanding alimony from her, and I'll make sure neither of you escapes the consequences of this." He hung up without waiting for a response. Glenn, now in a panic, tried calling Tara, but her phone was disconnected. It had already been cancelled. That call from Tara's husband was my doing. The day I left, I contacted him and told him everything. Though surprised, he admitted he had suspected Tara of cheating. Still, learning her partner was someone he knew was a shock. He apologized for her behavior and offered to cooperate with me. With his help, I found Tara's parents' address and shipped all of Glenn's belongings, along with copies of the divorce papers and photos of the affair, straight to them. Tara's parents were furious. The scandal spread quickly through their neighborhood, damaging their reputation. Her parents, wealthy business owners, were enraged not only at Tara but at the blow her actions dealt to their family name. She lost custody of her kids and was left to face the consequences of her betrayal. When Tara went to her parents in tears, they didn't even let her inside. She had no one to turn to, so she moved into a small apartment and started working long hours at a low-paying job, struggling to pay the alimony. Meanwhile, Sasha and I stayed with my parents until the divorce was finalized. Glenn went back to live with his parents. I'm still in touch with Glenn's parents. They care a lot about Sasha. His dad told me that Glenn spends all his time working on the farm now. He has to make alimony and child support payments, and his dad sounded disappointed in him. Thanks to my lawyer, I got a good deal on alimony and child support. Glenn's monthly payments are hefty, and I know he'll be working hard for years without saving anything for himself. I'm sure it feels like a nightmare for him. Once the divorce was finalized, Sasha and I moved into a new house. She transferred to a new school, where she was welcomed by her teachers and classmates. She's been happy there. Now that Glenn is a thing of the past, I'm handling all the housework myself. It's harder than I expected to balance work and home life, but I'd rather do this than live with a cheating husband and a so-called friend. I feel so much lighter now, free from all the negativity. I'm determined to be happier and work even harder from now on.